Okay, that should be better. Let me just pull this up here. And let's see what we got. Get out of here. This is tricky. This is tricky. I suck at these intros because you just kind of have to have faith that it is working. So my control panel's not working either. This one. That seems to be working better. There we go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are we? Hope you're well. I'm a little bit late on this live stream, so we have a few questions to go through, but I think a lot of them are just easy sort of comments like that, so hopefully it won't take too long. But before we start, oh, Sam, how are you? Chat works. This is much better than doing my job. Yeah, hopefully. I'm in trouble if it ends up being worse than doing your job. So I figured while we're sort of waiting for people to join and whatnot, just to kick us off, there were two things I kind of wanted to look at. So first one is in the members page, and it's a tip of the day from Third Earth Surf, which I thought was good. I've never done this particular tip of the day, and I quite often forget to do it myself, so it was a good reminder for me as well. So we're going to start off by watching this one. Sam, let me know if the audio works okay.
Please tell me I'm not the only one sanding today. Check that resin swirl out. It came out kind of cool, right? Just got all the fin boxes in. Now we're just doing a little outdoor sanding today. Small Kind Ding Repair membership Facebook page. Send your sanding jobs so I don't feel so bad. See?
That's definitely the wrong one, so scrap that. What an epic fail. Where did it go? There it is. Alright, let's do this one. How's that audio, Sam? Audio's perfect. Good to hear.
Line from your cut lap, or excuse me, your hot coat when you tape your line off on the rail. Razor blade. So you don't have to sit there and sand your head into the ground.
This is a solid tip.
A little bit of razor blade, and a scrape. You're done. You know how you always get that line?
So there's today's tip of the day. It's a really good way to not expose weave from your cloth when you're, because it always takes extra sanding to get rid of that line where you've masked off. So it is an epic tip of the day, MJ, you're right. I quite often forget to do it, and I end up trying to sand that whole line away, and then at the end think, oh, why didn't I do that? So yeah, definitely worth sharing that. Thank you, Third Earth, for that tip of the day. And the second thing that I wanted to show was a video by Paul.surf, who I first discovered. I entered a Vissla competition for, what do they call it? In Color, I think they call it. Basically, you make a colourful surfboard, you do your hashtag on Instagram of In Color or whatever the competition's called, and they pick winners. And then all the finalists go to somewhere in California and have the boards on display, and they announce the winner there. So a couple of years ago, I entered a board and was checking all the hashtags to see who else came up, and Paul Surf came up with these amazing resin jobs that he does, and he's just taken it to a next level. So he's got two videos here. This one's kind of long, but I highly recommend watching it. So he's Paul.surf on Instagram. I recommend you go watch it. But this one's a little shorter and gives you the idea. But it's one of the coolest things I've seen in a little bit. But even the goat likes it, so it must be good, yeah. This guy has a next level machine for laminating boards. How's that thing? Very cool, yeah, Sam. Blew my mind. So cool. Can definitely recommend checking out that one. It's a little bit longer and it goes into him building the contraption because he had to rebuild it for this project apparently. I'm guessing to make it wider to cover the laminated timber that becomes the backdrop. But I was super suspect when I started watching it because normally when people talk about arty stuff, I'm suspect until I see the result. But that is one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time. He did a really amazing job, so I thought that was also worth sharing, worth a watch. Hopefully, someone does like a proper little doco on him one day because his boards are stunning, and particularly those ones that he laminates with that bizarre contraption. You can see them there. Was a photo, not a video. There we go. Yeah, just really cool resin jobs. Crazy way to laminate a board, very stressful, and the time and energy and effort to build that whole setup and film it all, and yeah, I'm just really impressed by him. One day, one day I'll come up with something equally as cool. That one as well. Just to get all those resin tints and tones perfect is, yeah, just so crazy. Really difficult to pull off, even with the flower in there. Not sold on that, not gonna lie, but the rest is very cool. Yeah, anyway, so I thought that was pretty epic. The frames he hangs them in are really cool, and his hanging method too. So he did a resin leash loop on each board, and then a resin hook. So they just hang off of that leash loop. Sorry, a resin hook, like a half a leash loop. So resin and roving. So it's a cool little system to hang it as well. Somebody did comment on one of my videos a while back about the pattern on my floor that's just from pouring resin on boards for years. So he's definitely taken that to the next level, I would say. So anyway, few comments to go, but I don't think too many of them are in depth. I think a lot of them are pretty quick and short and sweet. So the first one here is from someone whose name I'm not going to try and pronounce. Didn't watch the Baywatch boards. I made it to the end. I've been thinking about a resto on a board I own. I like the technique you used to do the bolt, and we'll probably do something similar to mine. So no real question, just a comment. That's easy. Glad you enjoyed. So I'm recording in like a little sleep out in my backyard here, and we've got quite a bit of swell at the moment. And the swell outside, I'm a little ways from the beach here, but it is so loud outside. So that got me pretty amped for the morning. I think we got a good 4 foot swell coming through. It's kind of sizey on the sets today, but I think it'll be a bit more consistently big tomorrow. So I'm going to be spending the first half of tomorrow just driving around looking for a spot to surf, I think. Gmail happens with us mechanics too. It can run into thousands and you can be dealing with a lawyer on top of it. So obviously talking about customers who just take ages and ages to pay and pick things up. And at least I'm only dealing with small hundreds of dollars, whereas I can imagine a mechanic, it would be very painful. Seems to be something that uh just happens to a lot of different businesses, not just surfboard repairs. Steve Gay, like your work, bro. Nice paint blend on the ski. Easy answer. Flying through them. Salty Kayak Adventures. I know them somehow. I might follow them on Instagram maybe. Keep the series going. I love the daily vlog. So that was the final episode of that week-long series. I might do something similar again in the future, but probably not during the summer just because I'm so busy this time of year, and it was a bit of pressure to get all of those videos edited and released on the right day and kind of finished at least a day before so I could release them to the members. So it was good for me to know that I could pump out a video a week if I had the footage already accumulated. So that's definitely, I'm happy to know that. So yeah, we might do something similar again in the future, but probably not this time of year, just because even this live stream was meant to happen 2 or 3 nights ago, and it hasn't happened. So yeah, to sit down and edit and release a video is something now. I think now that we're in the summer and my work has definitely ramped up quite a lot in the last couple of weeks, it's just going to be a bit more sporadic when I can do a video. I can't spell. Oh, maybe I can. We'll definitely do something, oh, something like this again. Maybe when things quieten down after summer, bit of pressure. Jeez, is my spacebar broken? Bit of pressure. God, to have a deadline on videos, especially one a week. I do have a couple of videos filmed and ready to edit, so I'm going to try and start one of them this week, maybe even finish it this weekend. And just your standard kind of, we've got a board in, here's the ding, so we're going to fix it. So to be a little more cut and dry, to the point. Primal Otter, I think I've had a comment from him before. I remember the name. Absolutely love the broader overview on the shop this series provided. Thanks for the punt, and personally, I hope we get a spattering of similar vids in the future. Good to know. I thought it was a cool concept, so I'm glad people did enjoy it, and it's there now, like I said in the video. So yeah, they'll be there forever for people to look back on. Similar there. The series was a cool. Oh, most of these comments are going to be on that video in the beginning, I think. The series was a cool experiment. Whatever format you choose, I'll still watch because surfboard repairs are strangely relaxing. They're more relaxing to watch than they are to do, I've found. Maybe it's because getting a ding on a favorite board can be so upsetting. These videos are a healing experience. I opt it. Thanks, insightful series. Who owns the JS? Iron Balls McGinty. So that last video had the board with the chunk taken out of the nose by our poor customer's testicles. And yeah, Iron Balls McGinty might be his new nickname. He took it like a champ too. Ding Dang. Oh, so we talked about a question from him in this video. So thank you for addressing my comment. You run a tight ship as far as your before and after or Instagrammable content. I believe you have a more cultured following. I like to believe so. The content you make attracts a more educated bunch. We see the before and after all day. I do not see you as a ding repair page. You are more of a tip and trade page for everyone to share ideas. You are more for the professionals than the Uncle Tonys. Stay with the content you are providing. Appreciate the direction you're going. It's interesting to think about the audience for your YouTube channel, because it's hard for me not to make the automatic assumption when I um, make a video that everybody who's watching the video has already watched my videos and already knows me and the business and what we do and all that. So it's hard to remember that there's new people coming um, to every video and every day on old videos as well. So yeah, it's something I struggle to keep in mind and should do a better job of in the future, of not assuming everybody just knows what's up and knows where they are. But I definitely do get a lot of messages from other ding repairers or backyarders or shapers asking questions or giving me advice, and yeah, so I definitely seem to have um, a connection to the more professional side of things, as opposed to people who just want the, I guess, ASMR kind of before and after stuff. Again. Do you even have time to surf yourself, or are you always busy fixing the boards? It depends on the week and how guilty I'm feeling, but it can be, you can definitely miss out on surf if you're feeling the pressure from work. If people are calling you or texting you, hey, there's swell and is my board ready yet? And I want to surf this week, and you'd be surprised how many people only own one surfboard. If I could give anyone a piece of advice, it would be to own as many surfboards as you possibly can, because having one board and having to take it to the ding repairer and then not being able to surf and having to sort of rely on him or her being quick and prompt, yeah, annoying for you, annoying for the repairer. So yeah, definitely have more than one board. But I certainly get to a stage sometimes where I just uh, stop caring, basically, and you kind of have to tell yourself, I didn't ding my board, so why can't I go and surf? So yeah, it can be tough though, and you do occasionally miss out because you're working. But I guess that's the same with any job you take, and probably worse in reality with other jobs. Tell you one thing I miss about the Mac is the emojis. I can't emoji with this. I don't know how to do it. I'm not tech savvy enough. Andy, the series is extremely interesting. Thanks for posting. Long way. Uh, Popeye, in regards to video ideas, I think you should just do whatever you feel is right for your channel. Lame response, I know, but I enjoy your channel and I'm going to watch every video to the end regardless. I do enjoy longer content, but I also understand video creation and editing can be tiresome. I enjoyed the series 100%. My only hope is you don't get burned out. I see 2025 being a great year for you. More subs, more engagement, and more overall success. Zero doubt. 10 out of 10. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. And yeah, I'm excited for 2025 as well. I've still got video ideas and new ideas as well. Ages ago, I did a video talking about kind of the future of the channel, and I said in that I had like an idea for a series I could do, which actually isn't anything to do with ding repairs, but it's to do with surfing. And so I'd kind of like to add that to the channel as well. So yeah, that's definitely something I'm going to look at doing in 2025, and maybe kind of film 6 or 7 of those videos and then release them maybe one a month or something like that, just to break up the ding repair stuff, get the channel out of the workshop occasionally as well, you know. So yeah, I think it's all doable. I just got to navigate the busy season basically, and then I get a lot more time sort of around March-ish, I guess. It definitely quietens down around then. Not quiet, but it gets more manageable. Summers are chaotic here. My work is, it gets real gnarly during the summer, but it's a good thing. And I will definitely just keep doing whatever is, or I feel is right for the channel. At this point, it's all about experimentation. So I have an idea, I make it. If it works, great, I can do something similar again. And if it doesn't, well, now I know. So that's all good. Certainly have things jotted down in my head that I know don't work or do work particularly well. Boats failing at bar crossings work really well. So I'm keeping an eye out for them. We'll keep experimenting. Sure. As far as getting burnt out, I actually was talking to my partner Maria about this a couple of weeks ago, and there's definitely things in my life that I could um, uh, not prioritize as much to put more time into the YouTube side of things. So that might be something I have to juggle in 2025 as well. So certainly the members know, the non-members might not, but I'm part of a charitable trust called Mungafai Activity Zone. So that's certainly something that takes a lot of my time and a lot of space in my emails. It's the reason I'm so slack at replying to emails, MJ, is because my inbox is basically just inundated with stuff from that trust. And so I only really look at my emails once a week or twice a week because I have to really like sit down, set time aside, and go through them and then act on them. So there's that. And then the other thing I do as well, only during the summer period. So we started in August, November, something like that. But every year I run skateboard lessons for the kids. So it's the 10th year this year. So that started up, and I do have. So one of the kids I used to do the skate lessons for, he used to be in the lessons with me. He has just turned 18, so this year he's running them for me. So I'm doing the bookings and dealing with the money and everything, but he runs the lessons, and I just pay him to do that. And my hope is just, well, my hope is that I can pass those lessons onto him. I was kind of trying that last year as well. I had another 18-year-old running them for me, and I really wanted to be able to just pass the lessons on to them as a business. But he moved to Wellington to go be a tattoo artist, the bastard. So now I've got the new kid, and I'm hoping he enjoys it enough to take it on, and I think it'd be a really good business opportunity for a kid of that age. So that would free up a lot of time as well, because that does take a bit of just admin kind of stuff. MJ, I can't remember what our last email was, but I think I replied to you. So I sent you your package, so it's on its way to you. It might take a minute because you live so far away, but it is in the air or on the sea or somewhere like that. But as far as buying stuff from Shapers Collective, yes, I do have PayPal, so we can definitely organise something along those lines. And if you just keep your eyes on the Shapers Collective page, on the Instagram page, if you see something you like, get in touch, and yeah, we can sort that. I don't know why I didn't think about PayPal. So yeah, that's definitely doable. Robertical, I do find interesting the series. It's different and always learning new tricks. Now I'm confused why you didn't put Q cells on the nose crack. It would have matched better the colour. Also, you always complain about epoxy being slow. Can't you get fast curing epoxies? You can, and if the results are not as good, at least you can get them done quicker for the guy in a rush. Just wondering. Good points, all of them. So I probably should have covered that first point better in the video itself, but it's hard to jam everything you want audio-wise into a video without making it 7 hours long, and I don't have that much footage. Yeah, Sam, hit me up. It's definitely something that I'll probably only do for the members, just because otherwise it's going to be too much admin, because everyone in the world is going to want everything from Shapers Collective. But yeah, for the members, for sure. If there's something there that catches your eye, get in touch, and I can work out. The good thing about doing it through PayPal or something is that I don't have to worry about YouTube fees and all that type of stuff, which would confuse things. So, yeah, if we do it through PayPal, then I can just work out how much postage is going to be. I know how much the price of the thing is, and so it's much easier. So thank you, MJ, for mentioning it, because yeah, I didn't think of it at all. So Robertical's first point was there was a white board in this video, and it had a little, it was the testicle board, so it had that little chunk taken out of it, and I filled it with a poly resin. I didn't use foam because it was kind of too small to use foam. I would have had to make it bigger in order to use foam to repair it, or I could have used an offcut of PU, but it would have been very finicky to get it all right. So I just filled it with a clear resin and no micro balloons. And Robertical is right. Q-cell or resin, micro balloons would have matched the color better. But something that happens, so my poly resin is blue, which actually is in the next comment too from DMAC. Also, the color is very distinct with that resin. It is, and the reason it's blue, it's a surfboard specific poly resin, and so the blue in it, I can't remember the name of the additive, but it's a UV retardant. Basically, it's what makes that resin or poly resin UV proof or UV resistant, I guess is a better way to put it. But that blue will fade over time, and that repair will just become clear. And so I've done a lot of boards that way of my own, and then I've seen over time, and I, to be honest, did my own boards like that just because it's quick and easy. It's one less step, you know. But as it fades, you end up with a dead clear resin, and I think it looks much better in the long run than micro balloons. So I normally do tell my customers on, especially a white board filled like that with a blue resin, that just give it some time in the sun and the salt, and it will fade over time, and it will just become clear. And it kind of looks like you got a little shark bite out of your board because you can't see the resin till you get close. I really don't like, personally, and the customers probably wouldn't be that concerned about it because they don't know, but whenever I look at a surfboard repair from somebody else and it's just 100%, or it looks like it's just 100% micro balloons, it makes me suspicious of what's under it. So if the ding was originally that deep and it looks on the surface like it's 100% Q-cell, then I'm suspicious of what they've done to fill that ding with. So I try to avoid it if I can, just so with that repair in particular, especially once it goes clear, you'll be able to see everything inside that ding. There will be no sand, no wax, no broken glass, not cut away. It'll be a nice clean area that's been filled with resin and glass. So that's kind of my thinking behind it. MJ, you might not have to start an Instagram account. If you just Google Shapers Collective, it probably won't work on mine because I'm logged in automatically. But if you just Google Shapers Collective Instagram, or Shapers Collective New Zealand Instagram maybe, you should be able to view the page still without starting an account if you don't want more social media in your life, which I would totally understand. And then Robertical's second point, also you always complain, I don't know about complain, come on. You always complain about epoxy being slow. Can't you get fast curing epoxies? You can get fast curing epoxies, and I use a fast curing epoxy. So I use Entropy CLR with a fast hardener, but a fast hardener in epoxy is still slow as shit. So I think the gel time on my epoxy is 20 to 30 minutes. A slow hardener is going to be more like 40 to 45 minutes. So the difference is kind of negligible, and it's still, that's only your gel time. But to get it to a state where it's like ready to sand and sand smooth and finish, and not like kind of gum up under the heat of being sanded, you really just have to leave it 24/7. Well, 24 hours rather, not 24/7. So yeah, people get caught up with fast hardeners with epoxies, but it's still slow as shit. So I won't type an answer to that one. I'll do that later. Make you guys not have to watch me type for half an hour to those two questions. And DMAC, I know we're not Team Q-Cell here, but what's more brittle, resin by itself or Q-Cell? Also, the color is very distinct with that resin. So we've answered that one. That is an interesting question. To my knowing, which is not scientific at all, but I haven't noticed any difference in brittleness, or of how brittle it is with micro balloons or without. That might be an interesting test to do. So I'm not of the opinion that it becomes less brittle using micro balloons or Q-Cell. I could be wrong, I could definitely be wrong, but not that I've noticed anyway. And the only way I really would have noticed is my little cups of leftover dry resin, and even my big containers every now and then they kind of fill up with hard resin, so I tip them upside down and whack it with a hammer to like break out all the cured resin in there and start the pot anew. And I haven't noticed any difference in shattering. It's all kind of brittle, kind of sharp. Second tip of the day for tonight would be, if you're going to turn your resin pots upside down and smack the bottom with a hammer to clear them out, put glasses on, because you don't want those little sharp bits of resin in your eyeballs. I speak from experience, and it's awful. So I might answer that one typing wise later as well, because it kind of covers the same as that. Thank you, or Thomas Dietz. Thank you for your videos. I've been following them for a while now. I'm a windsurfer, and from time to time I have to fix damages. I can see that the way a windsurf board is built up differs from surfboard in materials as well as construction. Sandwich. do you ever repair any windsurf boards? I do repair windsurf boards, but I generally repair them the same way as I repair surfboards. So it's kind of the same as if somebody brings me something crazy like I've got a carbon fiber board or I've got a flax inlay board or stuff like that. They're generally all those weird or different constructions. They can all be repaired with epoxy, and so I generally repair all of them with epoxy, including windsurfers. I don't get a lot of them. I do get the occasional one. Although that being said, I am fixing my own windsurfer right now, an old hot buttered. I'm not even sure how old it is, but it's pretty old. So the members have seen it. Hopefully it'll be finished this week, all going well. Probably not tomorrow, maybe Friday, but it just needs a final sand and a polish, and I might turn it into my Christmas tree because it's green. But they are pretty gnarly construction. The newer windsurfers are very impressive. They're all that sandwich type stuff built in a mold, and they're very hard. Most of them are EPS, but they have a lot of really strong composite material on top of them because they get put under so much force. They're very impressive. It would be cool to see that process of making them. It's almost like a tough light kind of construction, but just super gnarly. Everything about it is super gnarly. They're very difficult to sand, generally speaking, windsurfers. I do fix the occasional wind surfer. Epoxy pair. Just with extra layers of glass. So when I say that I do kind of a standard epoxy repair, if I was going to fix a ding on the nose of an epoxy, let's say a JS shortboard, I'll probably just use one patch of 6 ounce. Maybe if it's on the rail where it wants to be a bit stronger and is a bit stronger from its birth, um, I might do like a 6 and a 4 or a 6 and a 2. But with something like a windsurfer, which is so strong, they're put under a lot of strain, and weight isn't really an issue for them, especially when you're just fixing a ding. Those boards are quite large in comparison to surfboards, generally speaking. You can add extra cloth, so you might do like 3 layers of 6 ounce glass instead, depending where it is too. But if it's near where feet are going to be stomping or around fin boxes, places of just like extra stress, then yeah, you can always add extra glass to that. It's kind of it makes the job easier. Boats and things are the same too. When you don't have to worry so much about weight, um, yeah, it makes the job a lot easier to ensure that it's really strong and solid. Because if you've got 3 to 6 layers of 6 ounce glass on something and you're finished sanding it, if you expose a bit of weave, it doesn't matter because there's so much underneath it. That's another reason why it's nice working on those really old logs as well, like Atlas mows and things like that, because they were built the same way as boats from boating materials. So you cannot oversand them. You can sand everything with 80 grit, and if you're exposing weave and cloth, it doesn't matter because there's just so much more underneath. It's nice not to stress about those type of things. Whereas with like a JS, you might have the repair all finished, all done, and then you're doing your final sand, and you end up sanding through to foam right next to the area you've just repaired because it's just been sanded so many times next to the repair area during the course of that repair. Pascal, what is the easiest way to find out if it's epoxy or poly? I'm going to leave this one too. I did actually read this comment when it came through, and I have a video that discusses how to find the difference between poly and epoxy, but I can't remember which video it was, so I was just going to tell him to go and watch that. So if anybody remembers which video that was discussed in, let me know. Otherwise, I'll have to go back through some videos and find it. So I'm going to leave that for now. Because there's just so many ways, and I could type them all out, but it's so detailed to type that out. So it's kind of why I put points like that in videos, is so that I can just direct them to the video instead of typing a long ass comment every time it's asked, because it does get asked occasionally. Raphael Pasty or Pasty. Really love the format. First of all, it changed from the previous ones, so it was entertaining. Then it is nice to follow the evolution of several boards through the days. This helps realizing the time and patience it takes and between each step. One question for the ball dent in the nose. Same question. Why in this case filling up the void with resin and not foam? Being on the nose with little exposure to load will keep the resin from digging into the surrounding foam. A little bit like the video with the SolarRes tutorial. Yellow board. Maybe. In what conditions can we reasonably accept to use resin filling? Many thanks for your videos and efforts to put them in. So that's the other part of that question that people ask, not just about the color of filling that ding with resin, but also why didn't you use foam? I thought we just used foam. So the two things I would take into account, or let's say three things I'd take into account when questioning, am I going to fill this ding with foam or am I going to fill it with resin, is number one, the size of the ding. Number two, the depth of the ding. So it could be a really small ding, but say it's on the deck of the board and it's only as big as one of your fingernails, but it's really deep and goes like halfway through the board or maybe all the way to the bottom glass. I wouldn't be filling that with resin because it's so deep. But if it's small and shallow, then yeah, you can fill it with just resin. And another part that comes into that, the third thing to take into account, the video was called My Subscribers Ask the Strangest Questions. Yes, you're right, Sam. Thank you very much. I will link that to him. So the third thing to take into account when do you fill a board with resin or foam is where on the board is it. So if it's small and shallow and on a place like the nose, and like that ding was maybe an inch down from the tip of the nose, not far, there's not going to be flex in that area, or not a huge amount of flex anyway, maybe none at all, because it's not a functional part of the board. You're not using it when you pump, you're not using it when you turn. The nose of the board is essentially a useless piece. You could cut it off and it wouldn't change the board at all. So I wasn't worried about the board constantly flexing and my resin rubbing against that foam. So he's kind of on the money here. Being on the nose with little pressure to load will keep the resin from digging into the surrounding foam. So I think that's kind of what he's saying. The video with SolarRes trips me out because I think I did a poly resin guide for beginners. Oh no, it's the UV resin we were talking about. Yeah, okay. I don't remember what board we fixed in that, but I did a video on SolarRes specifically, but I also did a video on UV poly, and that was a yellow board. But I can't remember the repair. So yeah, that's basically it. Hit the nail on the head. There. So the three things I'd take into account are size of the ding, depth of the ding, location of the ding. Who's chatting? That is why some people store their boards on the nose, because it doesn't matter as much. Good question. Somebody asked me about that, because I had some of my boards on my rack stacked on their nose versus stacked on the tail. That kind of makes sense. I never thought about it. The only reason I stand boards on their nose is if they've got, on my racks at work, that is. Sorry, I'm looking at you over there, but you're over there. Is if they've got fins in them, it's easier for me to lean the boards back like that and stack boards with fins in them. Whereas if they don't have fins in them, then I can put them down on the tail. And my boards at home are on a horizontal rack, but generally I've got a board over there in the corner and it's standing on its tail. So I think given the choice, I would normally put it on the tail itself, but maybe the nose is better. But then maybe it depends what you're standing it on too, because it's quite a focused spot, so easier to break. Yeah, I don't know if there's science behind that. I'm sure there's somebody on YouTube or Instagram with a solid answer of the proper technique to standing your surfboards. Size of the ding, depth of the ding, location of the ding. How much flex is in the area. For a small ding that isn't overly ovary. No, I suppose it isn't too. That isn't overly deep. Not a critical area. The board, when it comes to movement, like the nose tip, resin can be used. Taranaki Frother, legend. Once again, bloody impressive. Those pins on the burn looked the business. They came up pretty good. I need me some of that expanding foam. Q-cell and foam offcuts are messy. Love your work. Excuse me. Jesus. Yeah. If he's fixing as many boards as I think he is, then yeah, get some of that expanding foam. Oh, what's happened? Obviously was in the wrong spot there. Ah, 2120 EDM. Found the series very interesting. Felt a bit exhausted for you having so many jobs to do at once. I spend most of my time repairing sailboats, so would be very interested to see what you have to do on that cat. I was sure I filmed the before and after, at least. I didn't film the repair on the catamaran, but I've definitely got clips of it somewhere. Of how it started, how it ended. So I'll try and find that. But I didn't film the process because I really didn't know what I was doing. I never done a job like that before, so I knew I was going to be sort of making it up as I went along. So I thought it'd be really hard to keep on top of filming that. As far as felt a bit exhausted on having so many jobs to do at once, I actually had like next to no work. That was still back in winter and I was so quiet. It was ridiculous. So I was cruising during all of that, which was kind of good because it made it easier to keep up on that footage. But I'd just come back from Australia, so I hadn't had work coming in for 2 weeks because I was over there. Pardon me. Um, and it was a super quiet winter anyway. So yeah, that was mellow. The last 2 weeks have been pretty insane, and I think it's only going to get more insane after Christmas. Everyone here seems to have Christmas at home, and then Boxing Day they all just flock north. Everyone from Auckland flocks north, and the buck pretty much stops here for most of them because it's far enough away from home for them, but it's not so far you're driving with your kids for 7 hours listening to them holler and hoot in the back. So yeah, it gets pretty gnarly after Christmas Day, Boxing Day. So you enjoyed it. That was a pretty quiet week for me, having just come back from 2 weeks in Oz and a very quiet winter in general. Real chaos starts now. I didn't film the cat repair, sadly, just because I knew I'd be making it up as I went. It would be very difficult to keep on top of filming and footage. The job like that. Leonid, you are incredible. You legend. Thank you very much. Thank you kindly. You too. Way better than Bayurch. There you go. Yes. I'm guessing that meant to say Baywatch. Cracks me up whenever people write that. Jim, love the series. Would like to see more like this. Have you ever tried fast cure or UV cure epoxy? It seems like your biggest frustration with epoxy boards is the long cure time. Would a different epoxy solve that? So we've spoken about the fast versus the slow cure epoxy. So I use a fast hardener. It's still slow just because it's epoxy. To my knowledge, there is no UV cured epoxy, and if there was, I would buy it in a heartbeat. Of course, there's things like epoxy Solares, and I'm pretty sure in the States you can buy quite big. In fact, I know you can because I've looked for them. You can buy like drums of that shit, but we can't get that type of quantity of Solares here in New Zealand. We only get like the big toothpaste tubes, and that stuff isn't true epoxy. I can't remember what it is, but it's not actually epoxy resin. It's just compatible with epoxy resin and EPS foam, importantly, but it's not actually epoxy. And it's not particularly nice to work with something like Solares. You can get other ones like Ocean and Earth. The reason Solares isn't nice to work with on like proper dings is because it's so thick. But the reason it's so thick is because they cut fiberglass strands into it, which is what makes it, in my opinion, the superior Solares type product. But Ocean and Earth do one as well, and that is just pure resin. They don't cut anything into theirs, so it's much runnier. But it's still not nice to work with, not nice to laminate with on anything bigger than like that. It's just not ideal. And other than that stuff, whatever that stuff is, yeah, I don't believe there is any such thing as UV cured epoxy. Sadly, if somebody could make that, work that one out, I think you'd be a very wealthy man or woman. Comparison to point. As far as I'm aware, there is no such thing yet as a UV epoxy. SolarRes and similar products are not true epoxies, technically. Remember what they actually are. They are not particularly nice to in larger areas. Can't access large portions. Products here in NZ. It's the toothpaste tube kind. Travis, funny stuff. Helium surfboard floating away as you repair it. Crack up. I'm not going to write back to that. Don't have to write back to that. Marcus the Ridge. Marcus the Ridge. That's hard to say. I find my Lightspeed construction EPS epoxy carbon compresses way less and feels stronger overall than any standard PU board. Thoughts? Lightspeed is a JS, I think. Lightspeed. JS Lightspeed. Oh, that's something else, apparently. Surfboard. Is it? That. Oh, jeez, what have I done? Lightspeed surfboard. Oh, it's a Mayhem. Lost. I've probably worked on them. I honestly don't remember. There seems to be quite a few of them, though. Just from looking at them, they don't look particularly special. But I could be wrong on that. There's definitely exceptions to the rules, you know. Some people are really good at making all kinds of stuff, but epoxy, EPS, some of them come in and they feel soft and rubbish, and I'm like, ugh. And then other ones come in and they're a nice surprise, you know. You're like, oh, this thing actually feels solid. So yeah, there's definitely exceptions to the rules. There are definitely exceptions to the rule. Very good at making them. The vast amount are not. You into a winner with the light speed. Stick with it, I say. Suzuki-ton. Yeah, boy, package is here already. I didn't even realize he lived in New Zealand until I wrote his address on a package and then was like, oh, damn. He's like, I could have just thrown it and it would have gotten there. We'll just sent it out to sea. Stoked. X's first. He's not kissing me, guys. It's an inside joke. For the members, when you get your package, you'll realize what that means. And that, I think, brings us to the end. Stoked you got it, Suzuki-ton, and hope you enjoy. If you want to gift it to somebody else for Christmas or anything like that, you're more than welcome. I wouldn't be offended by it, but it just seemed like a simple little thing. Easy to make, easy to send, and kind of fun. I've got the first proto here at home, which was just a mix of old resin and Q-cell. It doesn't look particularly nice, but it's functional. And me and Maria use it, and it's a bit of a laugh. Waste 10 minutes, you know? There you go. And that is basically it. I have no idea how long we have been doing this for, because my control panel isn't working. But if there's nothing else on anybody's mind, we'll call it there, and I'll finish writing these answers to these guys here. And we'll see you hopefully over the weekend. I'll try and get the next video done and dusted. I kind of want to do 2 more in December, and we're already at the 19th, so I'm pushing it. So I definitely have to get one done this weekend, and then I'll do the next one maybe the weekend after that. And that'll be those 2 done, and then we'll start the new year. I'll have to film something else and, yeah, start afresh. Nice one, guys. Thanks for joining. Hope you're well. Have a good rest of the week, and we will see you on the weekend. Members only, we will probably see you a little bit before that. Nice one.